ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
Welcome into the Wednesday, March 30th edition. The Drive is on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in. We've got you covered today with our phone line brought to you by White Claw at 877-420-TALK. That's 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer, it is made pure. Our text line is open as well, 304-523-2275. And if you want to find me on social media, that's a great place to find sometimes what I'm doing. And that's at Paul Swann on Twitter. We also have Facebook pages and groups for you. Just do a search with The Drive with Paul Swann. So many ways. I do have a TikTok account. It's hidden. I have only made 2 videos. If you find me, I will add you, but I don't expect much on the TikTok just yet. Hey, there's a lot going on today. Of course, we got to look back yesterday to what happened to Marshall, the Thundering Herd. Fell to the Mountaineers 7-3 yesterday at the Kennedy Center. Marshall is now 12-12-1. The Mountaineers improved to 14-8. The Herd, you thought that the Herd was going to hang and it was going to be a good one, but the Mountaineers got 5 runs in the second inning, and that pretty much sealed the deal for the Thundering Herd. Marshall's next in action on the road, taking on UAB, going to Birmingham. 3-game series taking place on Friday. So that's what happened yesterday. What else happened yesterday, and more importantly, I think we're all happy it happened, right after we got off the air yesterday. And we had a great conversation with Marshall Athletic Director Christian Spears. So right off the bat, we get off the air, and about 25, 30 minutes later, the release hits my inbox and it hits social media. Joint statement from Conference USA, Marshall University, Old Dominion University, and the University of Southern Mississippi. And it read, quote, Conference USA, Marshall University, Old Dominion University, and the University of Southern Mississippi have reached a resolution that allows the schools to withdraw as members at the end of the academic year. Conference USA will move forward into the 2022-23 academic year with 11 members. Universities will compete as members of the Sun Belt Conference. That's the joint statement, and that's it. That's what's coming out of Marshall. That's what's coming out of Conference USA. As far as this statement is concerned, this will probably be the last thing on the matter for some time to come. No details were given. No idea of what the agreement might actually look like. But we talked about this several weeks ago. We broke it down, what the legal options were for Marshall and for Conference USA, and what Marshall and what Old Dominion and Southern Miss did. Basically, they made Conference USA fight on their turf. So Conference USA had to fight on 3 fronts. And then Marshall University was able to get the ruling, basically saying, look, Marshall's got some cause here, and we're going to see you in court. Because Marshall felt like it given Conference USA enough notice, plenty of time to adjust its schedule. Marshall University said, don't put us on the schedule. We want to leave, and let's work it out. I mean, and Marshall showed that it was wanting to work out the arrangement. Like, look, we want to leave early. We know it's a little early from when the contract says or the bylaws say, but really it's kind of iffy to begin with here, because I think one of the things that was really illustrated was Conference USA maybe lacking some consistency with its paperwork. I'm sure they're going to go through everything. If the league is smart, Conference USA is going to go through everything and tighten it all up, because Marshall had a lot of wiggle room here. And Marshall was able to get out in front of this, force Conference USA basically to deal. Either you're going to be dealing with Marshall, Southern Miss, and Old Dominion in 3 different courts, or you're going to have to sit down, work this out. And I think this is what everyone wanted. At least this is what the 3 schools wanted, to work this out, get it done. Marshall was not going to be in Conference USA. I mean, the schedule came out. It was a Sun Belt schedule. We all knew that Marshall was headed to the Sun Belt. This just makes it official now. No more worrying. There's no more legal wrangling going on here. And I think Conference USA is wisely moving on from Marshall University and the other two schools. Now, later on, we got the statement from Conference USA that read, Conference USA is excited about the future with our 11 institutions and the 2022-23 academic year, and is committed to the long-term growth of the league as we usher in new members in the coming years. As we begin this new era of Conference USA, our focus remains on providing the best possible experiences for our student athletes while engaging in the broader national conversation and process around changing the overall model. The landscape of college athletics has shifted expansively, and we will continue to be a substantial part of that evolution. That's a very bold statement from Conference USA. The league believes that it can be more of a participant in the landscape, and more power to Conference USA. But Marshall was out of this thing. So the turf's going to go down. It's going to have Sun Belt logo. There's going to be new signage across all of Marshall's athletic facilities. There's going to be new swag available. You're going to have to get some new coaches' shirts. Coach Huff is going to get a new wardrobe with Sun Belt logos on it. Chris Grassie's going to have to get a new pullover or a new hoodie with Sun Belt logo on it. Volleyball team, everybody, got to get new gear with Sun Belt logo on it. You're going to have to redo the court at the Henderson Center. Got to get that Sun Belt logo on it. You're going to have to change some things up. And, of course, I think there's going to be a lot of changing things up here. We had Christian Spears on yesterday. He talked to us about what his plans are. I can't wait to hear ultimately, because he mentioned yesterday, if you didn't hear the interview, you can go back and catch it on our podcast. It's available now. He talked about saving some money on this stadium. That was something that I thought, okay, he's trying to figure out how to make this thing work, make it affordable, and at the same time, get it going. I mean, do you need to have the best baseball park of all time? I mean, you would like to, but okay, would it be better just to have a really good baseball park and go from there, which you can add on later and make it the best? You know, I'm curious to see what the ultimate decision is going to be. I'm excited to have him back on. We're going to tentatively shoot for next week with Athletic Director Christian Spears. You know, and something that I'm kind of getting some feedback from you that you'd like him getting on the radio and just, hey, here's what we're doing, here's what we're talking about, here's what we're getting into, and spelling it out for you. So, I mean, if you like this, do me a favor. Let him know. You know, let other people know. I mean, give him some positive feedback. Let him know that, you know, you're appreciating him being able to come out and do these things more often. Now, I can't guarantee we're going to have him on every week. You know, eventually his schedule is going to have to change, and he's not going to be able to jump on with me once a week. But you know, if we show that you really appreciate what he's doing, you know, help me, let him know, let other people know that, you know, we've got this opportunity and we want to make the most of it. And I want to thank everyone yesterday for their questions. Really good questions. I've got them all written down. If I miss anything, I'm going to go back and make sure I caught some. You know, I didn't get to everything yesterday, but I'm going to save questions and we're going to bring them back up. We're going to revisit things. So I want to thank you. I appreciate your feedback and your interaction with me. It really is appreciated. You don't know how much because, one, you know, I'm not doing this show just to hear myself. I'm doing it for you guys as well. I really appreciate you being out there and being in the audience and participating and being a part of this. So, you know, I thank you for everything yesterday. And, of course, you know, I appreciate Christian Spears for coming in. I appreciate everything that the university's been doing for me, and we're going to get to some of that stuff here in a few minutes. Pro Day today at Marshall University. So we're going to hear from Nazeeh Johnson. We're also going to hear from Will Ulmer. We're going to hear from Alex Mollette. We get a chance to get some of their comments after their Pro Day. And if we've got time, we're going to hear more from the coaching staff at Marshall University. You know, we had a chance to show up to Coach Huff's presser. And also, I don't think we're going to be able to get to it live because I don't think it's set up that way. But, you know, we'll hopefully have some comments from Coach Huff. We'll get a practice report. Now, I'm teasing that maybe today. No promises. Definitely tomorrow we'll get his practice report on how day 2 of spring practice went. So that's happening at the indoor practice facility throughout the next few weeks. And every time they wrap up, we get hopefully a chance to, at least during the weekdays, get an update while we're here doing the show. So a lot in store for you. I want to get you in on the program. So the phone line is 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. I'm going to open up that text line for you now. I want to do that. 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. So I want to get your text in on the program as well. And of course, if you're on Twitter, you can find me at Paul Swann. So when we come back, we're going to hear from Nazeeh Johnson. We'll get some of his thoughts on Pro Day. We're going to talk a little bit more about this Conference USA situation where Marshall's out now. And if you want to talk about some of the things that Christian Spears talked about yesterday, again, taking those metal seats down, I mean, that's a Paul Swann wish list item. That was on my win-win list. And I know some of you are like, hey, you're reducing seating capacity. But think about what might go in over there. I mean, you could have some different suites go in. You could have a whole different look here in the next few years. You could have I want to call it party deck, but you could have some sort of social gathering spot. That would be cool. You could also have, you could add some more facilities over there. So, you'd have, different suites. You could have all kinds of things. And you could have the biggest scoreboard in college athletics. I have a feeling he's not joking when he talked about that. It's like how big is that going to be? How big can I make it? Is what he was basically implying. He wants a big scoreboard. Huge. I can't wait to see what the mock-ups look like on that. So, I know there's a lot going on here. So if you missed the interview yesterday, you can go back and catch it again on our podcast. So we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you have a different way to get podcasts, we're there too. And while you're there, if you wouldn't mind, please give me a follow. I'd really appreciate it if you're following us daily. And here's another way to get the podcast. If you're on Facebook, you can join our Facebook page, The Drive with Paul Swann. And on the Facebook page, on the mobile app. So if you use Facebook on your phone, when the podcast posts, you can see it in your feed, or you can go to the page and you can see it posted there. It shows up on mobile, not desktop, but it shows up on mobile. So you got plenty of ways to get the show. And of course, I appreciate every one of you that listen every day, either if you're driving or if you're just tuning in specifically wherever you're at to listen. I do appreciate every one of you being a part of the program. When we continue, I want to hear from Nazeeh Johnson. Let's do that first. We'll get some of your phone calls and text in. We'll talk more about what's happening with Conference USA and some of the things that we heard from Christian Spears yesterday. Give you a chance to comment on those things as well. That's all coming up with this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of The Drive. Paul Swann, your host. It's the next to final day of March. We're getting into April soon. Spring, weather, I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited. We're going to have on the program tomorrow Marshall softball, Megan Smith-Lyons. She's joining us. And then on Friday, Chris Grassi. They've got events coming up this week. So we're going to talk to those two coaches. I tried to get John Mercer on, but, I'm going to get him on after because John's a very busy man. Booking John Mercer is easy and hard because John does like 15 jobs. When he's not coaching, he's teaching, he's doing other things. So, and plus he also listens on a daily basis because, John texted me last night. If you text me often, it plays in your favor, by the way. I'm just saying, coaches, when you text me, it plays in your favor because I know what's up. So Mercer texted me yesterday, John Mercer, head coach of the tennis program, and he said, largest indoor scoreboard in the country is the Ty Tucker Indoor Tennis Center at Ohio State. So now I'm going to have to go get a measurement on the Ty Tucker scoreboard at the Indoor Tennis Center. We got to get a new complex for tennis. After we get the baseball built, after baseball, I'm using Coach Huff's terminology here, baseball, and then all the other cool things we want, and we got to get a tennis facility. How great would that be? How fantastic would that be if we could manage to pull this off as a community, as a university, as a fan base? How great would that be if you could get a state-of-the-art tennis complex? Because tennis is pretty popular around here, believe it or not. What could you do with that? Like just state-of-the-art, multiple courts, when they're not in use by the university. University can make some money off this with tennis instruction, selling the court time to people. I mean, think of all the opportunities here. So, and then we got to work also on some other projects, but that's it's simple. Lights at softball. So we'll talk to Megan tomorrow about her wish list and lights included there, and we'll try to get John on sometime later in the week. It was Pro Day today at Marshall. We got an opportunity to get some comments from Nazeeh Johnson, Will Ulmer, Alex Mollette, and we'll start off with Nazeeh Johnson. And the first thing that Nazeeh was asked about was just how he was feeling about Pro Day, and he responded. He's someone who really appreciates the opportunity, and he said this was a blessing come true.
It's a blessing come true. I mean, I thought about this day since I was little, just to get the opportunity. Thank you to Marshall and Coach Huff, their program, and I'm just grateful to be in this opportunity.
Now, the good news for him was he didn't go into this just on his own. He had an opportunity actually to train with Will Ulmer and Alex Mollette, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that from Will Ulmer here in a minute. But Nazeeh talked about how he was able, and how great it was to be able to train with some of his guys, including Ulmer and Mollette.
It felt good because, we hit that wall. You do the same thing every day, eat the same chicken. So it got old after a while, and I'd be able to lean on them, and they came in here with a good attitude, so I'm gonna come in with a good attitude, and then vice versa. Some days I come in with a great attitude, and then they're moping around, and then you just feed off each other. And just to go see them PR or some of the stuff they struggled with in the beginning is just amazing. So it's a testament to our hard work, and grateful for GP.
So one of the things that Nazeeh talked to the media about, he was asked a question about how with Pro Day the Marshall guys seem to really go at it. They go. I mean, this isn't just, hey, I'm showing up. I'm just going to come out here and do my thing. It's no, we're showing up and we're going to do things hard. We're going to really be seen. We're going to be showcasing ourselves here. We're taking this seriously, sort of like a chip on your shoulder. And he was asked about that, and Nazeeh kind of responded about that, talking about how he kind of feels like, you're at this level, you're at Marshall, and you're kind of being overlooked if you come from Marshall.
Yeah, really, I feel like we get overlooked, but talent doesn't go overlooked. I mean, hard work and dedication doesn't miss much. So as long as we come out here and work, I'm grateful for the opportunity that they realize that while Marshall does have talent, we just don't get the publicity as other Power 5 schools do.
Now, there's going to be a few more opportunities for Nazeeh kind of show his stuff. They're going to be looking at his film as far as the scouts are concerned, looking at his numbers. If there's interest in him, the whole investigate the player, learn everything you possibly can. And it's now really, at this point, there's not much left Nazeeh can do. I mean, he can still go out, showcase himself where he needs to be, do some things on social media if that helps. Go out, keep working, keep trying to get better until draft day is here. But at this point, he realizes that the film's out there. It's all out of his hands. And so he's kind of really, taking it as, okay, I'm doing everything I possibly can. I can't worry about that because, well, What happens, happens.
So it's a little bit everything. I mean, my film is my film. They got that. They see me play for six plus or whatever years I played here. And then this pro day just brought more awareness to me, and it's getting sent out to teams. So all I can do is just leave it in God's hands and just prepare for it, and hopefully I get this opportunity that I've been dreaming of.
What did you hone in on the most? Was it bulking up? Was it speed and vertical jump? What did you work on the most during your 8 weeks of training, in your opinion?
Well, by the grace of God, I had all the abilities. Like, that's just God-given talent. I just build on what my fundamentals. But my main thing was my 40, because technically I'm a safety, but really I think I consider myself a corner at safety. So just showing them I can play corner and have corner speeds and agility and stuff like that was my big emphasis, and showing that I can gain weight too. Because when I went to the Senior Bowl, I weighed at 183, and today I weighed in at 200 or 199, whatever it was. So showing that I can gain the weight and maintain it and perform at this weight.
That's Nazeeh Johnson. And one final comment that we got from his interview today was he was asked about the whole experience. Coming out there, there's got to be some nerves, right? I mean, you're out here, you're on a pretty big stage. Sure, this is your indoor practice facility. This is your house. I mean, you're in your house, and you're showing out, and you got some of your supporters there. I mean, there's a great support system there of Marshall staff, Marshall players, that your guys, your brothers, that's all there. And there's still some nerves here, but Nazeeh also pointed out, look, it's nerve-wracking maybe. There's some nerves here, but we're used to this. We do this. This is what we're about.
It was nervous, but it's like we've been doing this my whole life. It's probably like my 6th, 7th combine I've been to. This one could just change your life for a lifetime. But all of them, you just showcase your talent. And at the end of the day, I just wake up and jump out of bed. So it's just something I'm just good at, and I just worked on it. But other than that, I'm just grateful for it.
I hope we all can be as positive as Nazeeh Johnson. A young man, I hope does well. Hope he gets drafted. Hope he has a long career in the National Football League. I hope a lot of blessings come his way, because he definitely is a genuine positive person. And so I think a lot of us can learn from that. That's Nazeeh Johnson. We're going to hear from Ulmer. We're also going to hear from Alex Mollette. That's coming up. Your phone calls as well, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. The text line is open now, 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. And, of course, you can find me on Twitter at Paul Swann. Looking forward to talking to you. More coming up with this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank, the local bank that's here for every step of your life's journey. Member FDIC.
Welcome back. It's the Wednesday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in. We've got opportunities for you to be a part of the program. We open up the phone line at 877-420-TALK. That's 877-420-8255. Our phone line is brought to you by White Claw Hard Seltzer. It is made pure. Our text line also open, 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. Now, if you're listening to the show today and say you're listening to it on demand, you pulled it up, you're listening to this right now, you hear something that you want to comment on, I'm not going to look at the text line at, say, 7 p.m. tonight or 3 a.m., but I will see your tweet at Paul Swann. So you can find me on Twitter, follow, I would appreciate that, and I will see your tweet. And we might even talk about it on the show. So keep that in mind. So I would appreciate a follow there if you're on the Twitters. We've been hearing from Nazeeh Johnson. Pro Day happening today at Marshall University. Exciting time for all of these guys. And one of my favorite players of the class, of the players that are leaving, and actually all three of these guys that we're going to hear from today, Nazeeh, I love Nazeeh. He just brings a great energy. I hope that I can replicate in my life, and I genuinely mean that. He's a positive guy. Another guy that I just love is Will Ulmer. I wish he had another few years. I wish Alex Mollette had another 12 years. But Will Ulmer, always great to talk to. And when he was talking to the media earlier today, and again, this is going to be the last time, or one of the last times, that anyone really gets to talk to him before the draft, and then he's professional. But he talked about the preparation, just getting ready for pro day.
Oh, I've thrown, 3.5, 4 months solely for this day, but, just going out of town and training and, going all in, and the diet, and, there's so much that you put into it, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You get a one shot at this thing, and, you try and maximize your opportunity with it.
Heard that? One shot. You get one shot. I heard Eminem in the background. Eminem should be in the background. That should be just like on loop during pro day. Just play Eminem on loop in the background while everyone's working out for the scouts. That would be genius by whomever is running the sound system. Now, he talked about going out of town, just working out, going out of town. We mentioned, and Nazeeh mentioned it as well, Ulmer, Mollette, Nazeeh, all in the same system, all working out together, trying to get ready for pro day and then get ready for a potential career in the NFL. And Ulmer talked about that process and how easier it was. You got some familiar faces. You got people that you're familiar with, that you're used to working with. Probably guys that also will call you out as a friend and as a brother. Guys that will say, look, you're not giving it your all, or hey, you need to step it up here, or you're messing up here, get it going. And someone who can maybe keep you accountable at the same time, someone that you can help and keep them accountable. Here's Ulmer just talking about having those familiar faces.
Oh, it does. It's different because we're all 6-year guys. Those really are my family and my brothers. I actually went out of town and trained in Pennsylvania with Nazeeh and Alex Mollette, and it really just felt like we were out there for a spring practice or something, just running around, cutting up, having fun. So that's what it's all about.
So you're working out, you're having fun. Yeah, this is serious, right? This stuff is serious, but if you can't have fun, if this isn't fun, why are you doing it? This isn't fun. Now, you got to put hard work into it, but if it's not fun, why are we doing it? This radio show. If it's not fun, why am I doing it? It's not the pay. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not the pay. Alex Mollette had a chance to get some of his comments from Pro Day as well, and he talked a little bit as well about how he was feeling on this pro day.
It's amazing seeing all my teammates again. I love those guys. I spent 6 years building that relationship. Those are my brothers forever. It was a little nerve-wracking, preparing for this for 3 months, but I think all the guys here did a really, really good job, and I think we showcased our abilities, and I think I'm excited for what's next for all of us.
When we were talking about Eminem just a moment ago, you need just one shot. I'm going to leave that right there.
All you need is one shot. All you need is one person to take a chance on you, and then it's all you from there. It's kind of like getting recruited at college. You can get offered by everywhere, but you can only go one place. I think it's all we need is that one person to take a chance on us, and then it's us from there. I'm very religious, and I think that putting it in God's hands, I think He's gonna look out for all of us. He has a plan for all of us, and whether that is being in the NFL, whether it's not, whatever it is, you just got to trust them, and that's what I'm doing throughout this process.
See, keep Eminem on loop. One shot. Got to have fun, but one shot. That's key here. And something that came up when he was talking to the members of the media corps that were there today, talking about some of the things that maybe are assets for him. He's pretty versatile. He's not just stuck in one position. He can move around, so he's not necessarily going to be limited in what he does. if he needs to move around, be in a different position to be on an NFL team or be of some value, he can do that because he does have some versatility.
Playing 3 different positions, I think, helped me with, if a guy doesn't have to have just a center and just a guard, I could play 3 different positions. And I think my football IQ helps me out a lot. And, yeah, versatility, I guess. That's just what it's a plus to have in this position.
Got to have versatility, and that's pro day. Hopefully these young men, we're going to hear their names called sometime during draft weekend. Yeah, I'd love to hear them early on, but wherever they end up, if it's not drafted, hopefully they end up with a team and they can make the team that way. But I would love to hear a couple names drafted from the Thundering Herd on draft day, and let's hope it's these 3 guys. I would love to hear Nazeeh Johnson. Nazeeh Johnson to the Cincinnati Bengals. Will can come too. Alex can come too. If you're playing for the Cleveland Browns, I'm not rooting for you. Sorry, Ulmer. Sorry, Mollette. No. If you're Browns, I'm not doing it. If you're Steelers, okay, I'll allow that because at least I know you'll be okay career-wise. If you get drafted by the Browns, we'll work real hard to get you out of there as soon as your contract is up. We're going to work real hard. But that's another show. More on the way. We'll take your phone calls, 877-420-TALK, and our text line, 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. And for those of you listening either live or whenever you're listening, you can find me on Twitter at Paul Swann. More coming up. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
It's our final segment, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Coming up on tomorrow's program, Megan Smith-Lyon back. Haven't had her on in a while, so I'm looking forward to talking to her. Thundering Herd in action. I'll tell you what, there's a lot going on. You've got soccer coming up, Ohio State, Marshall, Ohio State. So that's another big showcase matchup. I mean, we had West Virginia and Marshall at Route 2. That's a big showcase. And sure, it didn't go the way Marshall wanted. You lose that one, but Marshall at least was in the fight. Did try to battle back. I hope that here in the next few years, Marshall's able to get the program where we would like it to be. How cool would it be? Just, mid-afternoon watching some baseball. Or, hey, how cool would it be to watch baseball in the evening with lights? Whoa. I know I'm talking crazy here. How great would that be to watch softball with some lights? These are crazy things. I like it. After the show, I can just head on down to the baseball park, watch a little Herd baseball, maybe, evening game. Maybe just maybe, I don't know, tune in, turn the radio on. There's Steve Cotton calling the baseball game on this radio station. That might be made possible with a baseball stadium. How great would that be? That tell you, of all the sports that Steve Cotton calls, I really think that I enjoy him calling baseball the most. That might be a poll question. Of all the sports that Steve has called, which is your favorite? Football, basketball, or baseball? And I'm going to say baseball because I just really enjoy listening to him call those games. And I'm going to tell you right now, he knows factoids that would make some historians do a double take because he's an encyclopedia of that stuff. I mean, it's interesting stuff as well. It's just not time filler stuff. It's like interesting stuff. So, that would be cool. That's my wish. That's my win-win. When Marshall gets a baseball park, we can have Marshall baseball on the radio. That's a win-win for me. So, I'm gonna talk to my good friend Christian Spears, the athletic director. We're really tight now. That was great. That was great of him yesterday. Came in. I mean, seriously, I sent our intern producer Ryan Sirk out to greet him, and he ran faster than Ryan. And Ryan's he's a collegiate, he's an athlete. Spears blew past you, man. I was like, where's Cirque? It saw this blur, and it was Spears running in here. I mean, he flew. And I think someone yesterday on Twitter actually tagged me in a reply to the thread and tagged someone else and said, have you ever asked that many questions in a deposition? I saw that yesterday. I'm like, okay, maybe that should have been a career for me here. I could do depositions here. We did do a lightning round yesterday. We asked a lot of questions of him. It was good stuff, too, so I appreciate him. And, again, if you're enjoying that, hey, help me out. Let him know. Let him know that you are enjoying that and you appreciate him doing that. I mean, he doesn't have to. I mean, he doesn't have to give me. I mean, he's done the show 3 times now. He's come in studio twice. He has made his schedule available to me twice in a short time frame. And he's come in here updating everybody on what's going on. And he hasn't held back on anything. So if you get a chance, let him know. Tell him how much you appreciate that and see if we can do that more. He's going to come in, again, tentatively next week. Again, I don't know how many times we can do that with his schedule because he's actually got to do things, run the athletic department. Yeah, I mean, you got to get the baseball park built. You got to get the lights. You got to get the logos changed. You got to get some new helmets. You got to get some Sunbelt stickers printed. You got to get all that stuff done. And he's still got to make time for having a life outside of being the athletic director, which really, I guess he gets a couple hours a night. I don't know. Yeah, when you're the new athletic director, you probably don't have much free time as you're trying to get everything established. So I've been excited so far from everything he's talked to us about. So do me that favor. Let him know that you really appreciate that because I do, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying it as well. All right, this is our final segment. Of course, don't forget if you miss any part of today's show or you want to catch it and you can't usually catch it live, maybe you get off work at 5:40. You missed part of the show today. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you give me a follow as well, we'll have the podcast delivered directly to you. And you can also listen to the show if you are on Facebook by joining the Drive with Paul Swann Facebook page. And we post the podcast there daily. Now, it works only on mobile right now. It's a feature of Facebook, and it's only on mobile. One final note before we call it a day. Conference USA did release its conference schedule. It released its revised schedule. And I'm looking at it now here. It's okay. It's not terrible. It's okay. First conference game is going to be Charlotte at Florida Atlantic on Saturday, August 27th. Let's just start out. North Texas at UTEP is going to be on Saturday, August 27th. Let's just start out with conference play. Okay. You're going to have to now. FIU at Western Kentucky on Saturday, September 24th. So that's the next conference game. And then Saturday, October 1st, pretty much the conference schedule for the most part gets really going underway. I'm looking at some of the final week. UAB is at LSU and Western Kentucky is at Auburn on Saturday, November 19th. I'm sorry, that's the next to final week. My apologies. Saturday, November 26th, WKU at FAU, Middle Tennessee at FIU, UAB's at La Tech, Rice at North Texas, UTEP at UTSA. So, a lot of that schedule makes sense a little bit. I don't know why you wouldn't have Western Kentucky a middle meeting, maybe the final week. FAU and Middle Saturday, November 19th. And Middle will play Western Kentucky. I'm scrolling for it here. Saturday to October 15th. Make the 100 Miles of Hate, make that the final game of the regular season. I mean, I guess you had to work this out to accommodate everyone since, 3 schools left. You got to change your schedule to an 11-team conference here, so you had to rearrange. Sorry about that. But Western, and if I'm Conference USA, and if you're Western and you're stuck in Conference USA thanks to Middle, I would want to showcase that game. Middle, Western Kentucky, I would showcase that game. Make that my big conference game. Just because until you get everything re-established, I mean, that's your signature game right there. I would live off the hilltopper success. I was really all right. We are done. Back tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time. We'll have Coach Huff's practice report. We're going to hear from more of the presser. Earlier this week, we'll hear from a couple of the position coaches. It's all coming up tomorrow on the show. For our producer, Ryan Sirk, I'm Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W231BS Huntington, broadcasting from the Oscars Breakfast Burgers and Brew Studios. This is ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.